Welcome to the August 19th, 2019 Frankfort Village Board meeting. We call this meeting to order, and we ask our clerk, Jean Savaria, to take the roll, please.
Mayor Holland.
Here.
Trustee Borelli.
Here.
Trustee Clavio.
Here.
Trustee Farina.
Here.
Trustee Ogle.
Here.
Trustee Petro and Javarthan are absent. Attorney Lamore. Chief Barica. Admin Pisha.
Here.
Admin Cook.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda this evening is what we call the unanimous consent agenda. All items on the unanimous consent agenda are considered routine in nature and will be voted on after a single motion. If one of the trustees wants to discuss one of those items in more detail, then we'll just remove that item from the consent agenda. So I first ask, do any trustees want to remove any items from the consent agenda? Not hearing any, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Ogle and a second by Trustee Farina to approve the consent agenda this evening. And we do want our fairly large audience this evening in the boardroom to know something about each item that we're passing, or that we're going to fail, I suppose. I hope not. And we want the people at home on the television and on the internet to know something about each of these items, so we'll go over each one just briefly. The first one is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on August 5th. The second one is the approval of our bills, and we'll go to Trustee Borelli for a report on those.
Thank you, Mayor. The bills tonight total $600,162.11. The biggest item tonight is our monthly health insurance, which is $138,524.68. And I'd also note that there's a line for $50 to the Illinois, the ILCMA. We posted a job for a planner, so we're hiring here at the village, and I just wanted to advertise that. That's open through August 30th, so anyone that's got a planning background that's looking to work in municipal government, especially here in Frankfort, please go to the website and apply. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Adam. And then we have a substantial item from our Financial Affairs Committee, and we go back to Adam Borelli, who is the chair of the Financial Affairs Committee, for a report on that issue.
Thank you, Mayor. Fiscal year 2018-19 end-of-year transfers are presented for Village Board consideration. These transfers provide for the allocation of excess operating revenues over operating expenditures to the capital accounts. The general fund will transfer $4,603,255 to the Capital Development Fund. These transfers represent excess revenues over expenditures for FY 18-19 and will be used for future capital expenditures, including the purchase of equipment, street resurfacing, and capital projects. The Utility Operating Fund will transfer $5,300,000 of excess revenue over expenditures to the Utility Capital Fund for future capital expenditures, including utility projects and IEPA loan repayments. So it's a substantial amount, I think much bigger than last year. My understanding is part of it is revenues are higher than what we projected when we budgeted, but also our expenses are lower than what we budgeted. So I think this board has continued to exercise fiscal restraint, and it shows here. And so with the substantial transfer, maybe at a future committee meeting we can talk about perhaps using some of the excess to go forward with additional road resurfacing, paying down the police pension, et cetera. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Well, thank you, Adam. It's certainly good news for the people of Frankfort to have us spending less than what we take in. And then we have several items from our Land Use and Policy Committee. A couple of them are very interesting items. We'll go to Trustee Ogle for a report on those.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a couple, like you said, very interesting items on here. We had a meeting on August 14th of the Land Use and Policy Committee, and we had some very interesting discussion, and I think it was great. We came up with quite a few interesting aspects of it. The first item on here, though, is some changes to the Personnel and General Safety Manual. The first one involves the FML leave and proposed changes to that to provide language which will conform to the village policy. Currently, it entitles eligible employees to take up to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave per year for specified family and medical reasons. And there'll be some changes to that. And also, we have an item on here about village-owned property upon separation from employment, that if an employee's leave exceeds or is expected to exceed more than 30 days, that some of the materials would be returned back to the village. And so the Land Use and Policy Committee, the recommendation is to approve sections 10.02, 11.05, and 13.01 of the Village of Frankfort Personnel and General Safety Manual. The next item on here has to do with Code of Ordinance amendments, and the first one is for Chapter 113 for intoxicating liquors. And we are creating a Class D3 license, which is bistro and wine bar, beer and wine only, permitting bar and limited carryouts. And this liquor classification would really accommodate the proposed operation of the wine thief, which will be later on in this agenda here. And it was the consensus of the committee to amend the code to allow for the creation of the D3 liquor license classification. And so the motion will be to accept that. We are going to waive the first and second readings, and will pass an ordinance amending the Village of Frankfort Code of Ordinances, Chapter 113, intoxicating liquor, to reflect the creation of a Class D3 liquor license classification. And typically what we do with these is that we set these to 0, and there'll be a motion later on where the mayor will ask for a motion from the floor to increase that number to provide for that license. The next item on here is Chapter 122, which is prohibiting cannabis business establishments ordinance. Now, the committee discussed this amendment. The state of Illinois passed Illinois Cannabis and Regulation and Tax Act, a public act, and in that it included provisions for multiple things, but one would be the establishment or the ability to opt out of having a recreational cannabis store within your zoning. So for us, this is pretty much a zoning issue. Medical cannabis is not included in this, or not. It's one of the things. I know people who have MS, epilepsy, severe anxiety, chronic pain issues, and things like that. And if through medical cannabis you can find relief, God bless you. I certainly wouldn't want to deny anyone the opportunity to at least try those. Now, this law does not have anything to do with the medical cannabis or your ability to use it. The state of Illinois passed a law, and you can use it, but we can, and we do, regulate the type and number of licenses for different businesses like tobacco and liquor. And this would be one where we would prohibit recreational marijuana shop, and it's all in the amendment. So we're going to accept the recommendation, which was a unanimous recommendation by the Land Use and Policy Committee, waive the first and second readings, and pass the ordinance amending the Village of Frankfort Code of Ordinances by the addition of Chapter 122, which is prohibiting cannabis business establishments in the Village of Frankfort, Will, and Cook Counties, Illinois. And Mayor, I think that's all I have.
Well, thank you, Keith. And then we have really one item, but several issues under that item from our Plan Commission. And we have a number of people in the audience this evening who are interested in this, and I think our community is very interested in this issue. So we'll go to Trustee Clavio, who is our liaison with the Plan Commission, for a report on these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you indicated, we have the applicants with us who I would like to give them a huge attaboy because they've been with us the whole process, which is fascinating to see for when a new business comes to town. So the Wine Thief, which will locate at 6 Elwood Street, is before the board tonight for 3 particular special use permits. They have requested a special use permit for a restaurant tavern, a special use permit for accessory liquor sales, and a special use permit for outdoor seating. They have gone before the Plan Commission, had a workshop meeting, had a public hearing, and some of the concerns were relative to their outdoor seating. They brought back to the Plan Commission a revised plan, specifically a 2-foot landscape planter buffer along the eastern edge of their patio so that no one would back in there, and they'd have some security for their patrons as well. With all of that, I should mention that the proposed operation is a full-service restaurant, wines available by the bottle, glass, and at self-service wine stations, draft beer, and limited carry-out wine sales. This will be an accommodation to business operation, and the applicant's request granting of the special use permits for the restaurant, tavern, accessory liquor sales, and outdoor seating. The Plan Commission on July 25th forwarded, I can't talk tonight, unanimous recommendations to the village board. Before us tonight is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance granting special use permits for restaurant, tavern, accessory liquor sales, and outdoor seating to the property located at 6 Elwood Street to permit the business of the operation of the Wine Thief in accordance with the reviewed plans and public testimony. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, John. And those are all of the items on our unanimous consent agenda this evening. So before we discuss them, before we vote on those items, is there anyone in the audience who wanted to speak to the board about any of those particular items? Hearing nothing, any comments from the trustees? John?
I did have one, Mr. Mayor. In the discussion at the committee level regarding the intoxicating liquors, there were several things that came up that night. We only passed through to the board tonight the D3 category, but some of our literature captures the 2 other categories we were looking at. So just if I make a clerical error to strike a couple things in the resolution, which is to take out the Class L2 license and take out the Class O license.
Oh, just
Just clerical.
inadvertently put
Exactly.
in there.
Exactly.
And we have no problem with that, right, Hannah?
The ordinance is correct. You're just talking about in the notes?
No,
it's
it will
in the
actually,
ordinance.
it will actually make the ordinance that we're going to approve tonight correct.
Based on our committee meeting last week.
And the ordinance that's in the packet is correct? What the motion was based on?
The motion is
No.
correct. The ordinance has additional language in it.
Yeah, it seems like it's, what do we call it, an amendment to the motion.
Yeah, we will need to clarify exactly what the amendments to the ordinance are going to be then.
Okay.
Then I would offer a friendly amendment to our calendar.
Perfect.
To strike in ordinance number 31XX as presented, in line sub 12, and not more than 0 Class L2 licenses. Strike sub 15, and then in section 2, strike B sub 15.
Okay, we have an amendment to our motion. Do we have a second to that amendment? And we have now an amendment and a second to the amendment from Trustee Clavio and Trustee Farina. Is there any discussion on that? And mostly, do the trustees understand what we're talking about?
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. It's a little confusing to the audience, I'm sure, but it's drawing a line through these lines. Good. Then we'll go to our clerk, Jean Savaria, for the vote on the amendment.
Trustee Farina.
Yes.
Trustee Ogle.
Yes.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Trustee Clavio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Good. Now we're back to the original motion, which is of most important to the people in the audience this evening. And is there any other discussion? Then we'll go to our clerk for the vote.
Keith
Oh,
had his hand up.
Actually, it was just a comment, which,
Keith, please.
yes, and it was on the transfers. Last year, our transfer to the general fund was $1.1 million. So this one is 4.6, I believe, 4.6 million. Yes, so into the general, that's between the combination of the increased revenues and also the efficiencies. I really want to thank staff and everyone who's put the effort forward on behalf of the residents of Frankfort. That's an amazing amount of money that we've transferred over now too. So that was my comment, Mayor. Thank you.
Very appropriate. Thank you from all of us. Okay. Back to the vote. Gene?
Trustee Ogle.
Yes.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Trustee Clavio.
Yes.
Trustee Farina.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda this evening is what we call the mayor's report. And the first item on the mayor's report has to do with an organization called J.D. Power. J.D. Power is well known to a lot of people in our country. It's a national organization that recognizes superior businesses and superior organizations that do things in a special way. And we've had a business in Frankfort so recognized by J.D. Power. On Friday, August 23rd, Phillips Chevrolet is going to be certified through the J.D. Power 2019 Dealer of Excellence program, and they're the first and only Chevrolet dealership in Illinois to achieve this prestigious award. Phillips Chevrolet began operating in Frankfort over 50 years ago and has earned dozens of awards for both sales and volume and customer satisfaction. And it'll be an honor on Friday to represent our community at this award ceremony. And so I'm going to ask our trustees to designate Friday, August 23rd as Phillips Chevrolet Appreciation Day in the village of Frankfort.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. The next item is once again important to people in our audience this evening, and it has to do with increasing the number of Class D3 liquor licenses. You'll recall just about 8 minutes ago, we created a D3 liquor license, and that's a bistro and wine bar, beer and wine only, permitting a bar and limited carryouts. And what we're going to do is increase the number of those from 0 to 1 so that the wine thief can apply for a liquor license. So I'll entertain a motion to waive the first and second readings and pass an ordinance amending the Village of Frankfort Code of Ordinances, Chapter 113, intoxicating liquor, to increase the number of D3 liquor licenses from 0 to 1 in the Village of Frankfort.
So moved.
Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion, I think it was by Ogle, and
Okay,
second by
I will second that
Clavio.
then.
Perfect. Any discussion? I think we can do that by voice vote, too. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Then that passes, too. Back to the standard items, weekly event calendar in Frankfort. We continue with concerts on the green one more time this Sunday. And it features the Outcast Jazz Band at 6:30 to 8 o'clock. It's kind of fun now because Concerts on the Green ends in the dark. By 8 o'clock, it's getting dark out there. Country Market continues 9 o'clock to 2. And of course, there won't be any Country Market on September 1st when we have Fall Fest in our downtown. The Frankfort Preservation Foundation is hosting their annual ice cream social. Now, if you haven't been to this, you really should go. Basically, it's free ice cream and free sundae toppings. I mean, how can you beat that? These people put this on, these volunteers put it on. Culver's helps them, and isn't that nice? And they have a Pie Olympics there. There they are on TV eating the Enrico's banana cream pies. And it's quite an event to attend, and it's a lot of fun, and that's on Sunday from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, just before the concerts on the green. And then Fall Festival, of course, it will be held over Labor Day weekend. And if you're new to the community, you need to ask your neighbor about Fall Fest. And if you live downtown, you won't have to ask anybody. You're going to find out all about it. It'll just happen. But there are over 300 artisan booths. There's live entertainment, of course. There is a garden area, a tent, and bands playing at night. There's a parade on Sunday. That really is fun. And this year, Trustee Clavio is the second in charge of Fall Fest. So what fun for John. Gives him something to do over Labor Day weekend, that's for sure. So we enjoy that, and that does conclude the mayor's report. So we'll go to, I have one more item, and that is just a comment to the trustees and an inquiry, if this sounds like a good procedure moving forward. We've had several inquiries about the home at 7 North White Street. I think it's at 7, maybe 11, 7. Anyway, the nice little Victorian home. We have a proposal to move the home, and we have a proposal to convert the home to a commercial purpose. So the staff has been working with the applicants on the details of their proposals, and the trustees know about the proposal, but it seems time for at least a public meeting, a time when all of us get together and discuss what makes the most sense here. What kind of direction do we want to give the staff? And to that end, I would suggest the best time for us to meet probably would be right before our next board meeting. So that would be on Tuesday after Labor Day. And to give staff some direction on what we're looking at. We also had at a recent committee meeting discussion of hiring a broker to represent properties in the downtown, and gave staff time to look into that and to talk to some different brokers. So I think that makes sense to discuss that at the same time. And I just thought I'd ask any comments, I think it's a good idea. I think it's where we ought to go, and if somebody's got some other idea on how to move forward with this.
No, it sounds appropriate, Mayor. I appreciate it. Will we just limit the discussion to that house for now, or is it broader than that?
Well, and I think the concept of a broker looking into helping us sell property in our downtown.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
It would be, right now there are 2 proposals, might have another one by then,
Yep.
who knows? But right now there are 2, and we've seen those and made some comments back to our staff about them, and they've commented to the people, and so I think it's time to give staff more clear direction, and we need all of us together to do it, and it needs to be a public meeting. Good. Not hearing any objections, that's what we're going to do, so please schedule that. Is an hour enough time? I think so.
Sure. We do tend to talk a
We
tad. when
could
have topics
spend
like that,
10
so-
hours talking about
Yeah.
it, or we can spend an hour. It's an important issue to our community, and I think it's appropriate to get it into the public view, what we're talking about. So that now concludes the mayor's report, and we'll go to our police chief, John Barica, for the police department report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd first like to thank the elected officials and you for coming out with the support on National Night Out. I think we had a great event, and all the officers that showed up and DPW helped clean up, but also I want to really thank the residents that came out. We had a great crowd, great interaction. Just one of the great things about Frankfort is the interaction with the police and the public, so that was a great night for us. I want to commend our seniors on patrol, who were out last weekend, and they were going through parking lots looking for violations of people leaving vehicles unsecured or leaving items in plain view that were of value. We have a couple of them out here that were out there doing it, did a great job on that, and gave out over 30 safety cards reminding people to lock their cars and keep valuables out of them. They did that in just under an hour of hitting a few of the shopping centers. So great job by them helping keep us all safe. Also would like to thank District 157C and Morzini for allowing us to use their schools for some of our rapid response training. They have always been very good to us in allowing us to use their facilities, and we appreciate that. Unfortunately, with the active shooter trainings, we have to do them in schools, and it's just unfortunate we have to do them all together, but they are necessary and provide us with some great training for the police department. This year, we actually had several other entities out with us, including Will County Sheriff and New Lenox Police, that assisted us in our training. Then I also want to dovetail on the Fall Fest, reminding people that we will have roads that will be shut down and restricted access into the downtown area. You do need to have a village sticker if you want to come down Nebraska. Also, there'll be several streets that will have restricted parking. So if you are driving along and you find a great parking spot, it probably is too good to be true, and please don't park there because you'll likely get towed. So make sure you look for the signs. It will be clearly marked, but make sure that you look before you park somewhere. And finally, as always, make sure you lock your cars, take your keys inside, don't leave key fobs inside the cars, and put your garage doors down before you go to bed. And that's all I have.
Thank you, John. And now we go to our village administrator, Rob Pisha, for the village administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to remind residents, there's been a couple of reports in the paper about rabid bats being found in Frankfort. Just want to remind residents, if they do encounter a sick animal, especially a bat, that they do not handle the animal itself. They should call the police department and/or Will County Animal Control. It's unfortunate that we have to deal with these kind of things, but it's important to keep the residents safe and not to touch the animals. Also, to dovetail on the whole Fall Fest theme, is just to remind residents also that even if they're coming in the downtown area, that White Street is closed as of Friday night for the remainder of the weekend. So if you're trying to get through, even if you have a vehicle sticker, you cannot get down White Street. So just keep that in mind as you're going through. And just want to wish everybody a safe and happy Labor Day, and hope to see you at Fall Fest over the weekend.
Thank you, Rob. And now for the attorney's report, we go to our attorney, Hannah Lamore.
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. And that brings us to the part of our meeting we call Other Business, and this evening we'll start with our clerk, Gene Savaria.
Thank you, Mayor. Typically, I believe we go back to business attire with the wrap up of August. I would recommend that we extend that through September, if everyone is fine with that.
I'll second that.
All right.
Wow, these changes are big coming in the village. This has been I've been on this board 20 years, and we've only gone from May to September in casual attire, and the rest of the time it's been coat and tie and dress clothes for the ladies. But good for you to bring it up. And it was one of the things that a long time ago, we used to say that's one of the things the clerk decides. So it sure is fine with me. I'd be delighted to go another month.
That's all I have.
Thanks. Well, thank you, Gene. Trustee Clavio.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Gene. And I will, second that I feel very lonely down here tonight for some reason. And I swear that I took a shower twice today, actually. I just have to wish everybody a safe and happy Labor Day weekend. That will be upon us beforehand. And as most of you know who live in this town, me especially as number 2 in charge, it is pretty chaotic. So please be aware of road closures, people walking on the street, and people, even though it's not downtown, the buses are down here. The Grange Road people are jutting across too. There's a lot of traffic on the Grange Road. We do our best to minimize that, but not 100%. So just keep your eyes open if you're in town, and we appreciate your patience with us. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Well, and John, it's very much appreciated by the people of Frankfort, all of the work those volunteers do to make this festival happen, and certainly the co-chairs. put in more than anyone, so thanks for the time.
You're welcome.
Trustee Farina.
Thank you, Mayor Hallen. Congratulations to Phillips Chevrolet for achieving their award for the #1 Chevy dealer in Illinois. That's fantastic news for them and for Frankfort. I also want to thank Chief Barica for inviting me to the rapid response training. It was quite the eye-opening experience at Grand Prairie. I appreciate what Officer Riff and Sergeant Bender are doing to protect kids, teachers, and such. I also want to thank Dr. Zinni and 157C for letting our police department utilize the schools to be prepared for any situation that may occur. So thank you. Also, with Fall Fest comes the Frankfort Lions Verse Fest, which is August 29th from 6 to 10:30. Tickets can be purchased, and you can go to the frankfortlionsclub.com website to get tickets and information. I also want to acknowledge the Frankfort Chamber of Commerce. Besides the Fall Fest, they have been working with a marketing group to increase awareness and market Frankfort to broader audiences here in our town as well as outside of our town. This has been led by the president, Harry D'Arcoli, which I'm very appreciative of. One of the aspects of this group has been the hashtag Find It in Frankfort, which was developed for our downtown business district by the Storehouse. And it's a simple thing to do, and it's perfect timing with Fall Fest coming along. And if you have Instagram, if you have Facebook, Twitter account, simply put in hashtag Find It in Frankfort, and all those photos of the carnival, of cool things you're going to buy at Fall Fest, of the garden, of the parade. You can use that hashtag and start to increase our awareness. It's a neat thing that was started by our downtown businesses, and I think it's something that's very catchy in this day and age with social media, and something that would be really helpful for our town. That's it. Thank you, Mayor Holland.
Thank you, Margaret. And now Trustee Ogle.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to extend congratulations to Phillips Chevrolet, both the J.D. Power Award and also the GM Dealer Award. It's a great business to have here, and we're very happy and very proud to have Phillips here in town. The Night Out Against Crime, I think this last one was probably the largest one that I've ever seen, and it was just another great night. And it's great we had a great representation from the board. The trustees were there, and our police got a chance to meet the police and get to know them, and also for them to get to know you, I guess, didn't want that when I was younger, but it's still a good thing to have, right? And also to thank our Frankfort police for, I also went to the rapid response training, and I got to role play a little bit too. I said, I'll come and observe, but I wanted to see what they were doing. We do invest a lot of time and money into training our police here, and also staff. They're here to serve the residents, and they do a great job, and they need to be prepared. They need to have the right tools, and make sure that us as trustees, as a board, that we are providing what they need, we're aware of what they need, and so they can best serve the residents. I think it was very interesting for me, and now not to leave out 161, the Summit Hill. Will County takes care of them for the police, and they had similar sort of rapid response training this morning out at Summit Hill Junior High. They're also part of Frankfort here for us, some of the residents that live more towards the east side of the town. If you're coming to Frankfort for the Fall Fest, if you're here on Sunday, and if you look and you find that really great spot, like John was saying, on Sunday, that's when the parade will be in town, and there'll be a lot of street closures, especially in the Old Town section of it. So if Sunday you think you hit the jackpot, you might want to check around for another sign. Hope that you come down for Labor Day weekend and for Fall Fest and enjoy it, and we will see you around town. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Keith. And Trustee Borelli.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to thank the clerk. I think he accomplished more tonight than I did in my 3.5 years. So, thank you, Clerk Savaria. I wanted to say congratulations to the Wine Thief, Ed and Valerie Thalen. I think they've been outstanding applicants, and I know working with the village, we have a lot of requirements, and you've been very proactive throughout this process, and very impressive. And so, thank you for that, and congratulations, and looking forward to visiting your establishment. Fall Fest, a little over a week away, so very excited. What I like most about it is that everyone gets into it, and everyone kind of manicures their lawn. It just looks so beautiful leading up to Labor Day weekend, and we're putting on our village, we're showcasing it to 250, 300,000 people, and so there's a lot of visitors that come and see, and so when they see how great this place looks, when they visit, I think it draws people to move here, and so I appreciate our residents taking pride in the way their lawns look leading up to the Fall Fest, so thank you. And just one more plug for the ice cream social in downtown at the Founders Center. I'm the proud father of a 3-time Paralympic champion. She's 12 now, and she's talking about eating up a division because she wants to take on Dr. Heath. So we'll see what happens. And also, my spouse was a bronze medalist last year as well. So yeah. So anyway, hopefully you come out. It's free. It's a lot of fun. So thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Adam. And that brings us to the part of our meeting that's titled Public Comments. Is there anyone in the audience who wanted to make a comment to the village board tonight? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.